G'day everyone, I am the man called Kemosabe, the man with a plan from land down under, the man called Lucille, Lucy to his friends, the man too dangerous for YouTube, the man they tried to censor but couldn't. And this is my review of The Abductables, written by Derrick, with art by possibly the hardest working artist in Comic Gate, Ibai Canales. I received a digital copy of this book and hope that by reviewing it more people will be informed as to the tone and quality of these creators' works in preparation for both Grayscale and The Abductables 2. The Abductables is an 82-page black and white book. Canales uses zippertone-like textures to create shades of grey in his art. As usual, take a look at the cover, then talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this comic. Keeping in mind the job of a cover is to convince you to pick it up off the shelf, and even in crowdfunding terms it's usually the first or main image you see. This cover falls flat for me. I like the neon 80s day-glow hues, and I think they should have leaned more into that direction. The image makes it clear that the conventions of the abduction scenario has been flipped, with the human looking like a merciless monster and the aliens fleeing, wide-eyed, scared, and visually harmless. That alone might be enough to convince people to give the book a further look. The logos and title look okay, but are so flat and crisp they sit jarringly over the hazy artwork. This cover has the foundation to be a good cover, but other elements get in the way. It looks like they've thrown some cover over or under Canales' grayscale art, and it's not a good fit. It's muddy and flat. If you'd kept a black and white image, a high contrast image, the colours might have popped more. Does it fail completely as a cover? No. The metric I use is, would I take it down off the shelf and have a look? And I probably would, just because the concept, the reversal of the abduction scenario, is interesting enough. And Canales' art is very visceral and physical. I'm sure once I started flipping through the book, seeing 80 pages of high action art, I still would have purchased this title. Waking up from being abducted, a muscular man finds himself about to be probed by physically unthreatening aliens, the atypical Greys that gain popularity, perhaps with the X-Files. Breaking free, the man kills several Greys and realizes he has complete amnesia. He doesn't know his name, why he's on the ship, or where he is. He gets a hold of an alien energy weapon and takes the fight to the Greys, where he happens upon a cafeteria and begins shooting them like fish in a barrel. The Greys return fire, but being a science crew not trained with weapons, they miss nearly every shot, some even shooting themselves and their allies in their confusion. One of the Greys breaks away and tracks down the largest of their number, a kind of mutant that has grown to prodigious size. Unfortunately for the Greys, his muscles aren't much help when he doesn't know how to fight. The huge Grey alien gets a temporary advantage when the human is thrown into a sudden fit of pain. He has an implant in his head that allows him to communicate with a military base on Earth. He remembers his name and his mission, and during this epiphany, kills the Grey alien by punching its head off. The story cuts to a 5-page flashback detailing the Roswell incident and how one of the aliens survived the crash, waking on the table mid-operation. Aliens return to take back their wayward member as well as their technology, and despite infrequent abductions in crop circles, seem to have left mankind alone. The government came up with a plan to have one of their agents be abducted on purpose so they could find out what the aliens plan on doing with mankind. Agent Alden, the protagonist of this comic, is that man. Alden takes a surviving Grey hostage and uses him to get aboard the mothership. The Grey dies soon afterwards and explains that his species quickly perishes once they reach their peak physical condition, allegedly an evolutionary step to stop wastage caused by caring for the elderly and infirm. Alden leaves the alien to die naturally, refusing to kill him, and begins searching the ship. He comes across several abductees and frees them, but at the same time frees a disfigured Grey alien that, unlike all the others, is able to utilize his vocal cords to talk, the others all using some form of telepathy, the same telepathy that Alden is using to communicate with his superiors back on Earth. The disfigured Grey also has telekinetic abilities and uses them to turn Alden's gun against him and cripple his hand by breaking his fingers. Alden manages to kill the Grey, but it rapidly regenerates. The rest of the abductees recover and grab up enough weaponry to take out the disfigured alien, who one of the scientists back on Earth recognizes as the alien they were dissecting in the Roswell days. Alden and the abductees make their way to the alien queen, who reveals the information Alden wants to know. The aliens have been abducting and experimenting on humans for years, looking to make an alien-human hybrid. The Queen explains how mankind has been evolving towards the same kind of species-wide homogenization, androgyny, hairlessness, a degeneration of socialization due to the advancement of technology. Their current effort is less than impressive, and Alden bursts out laughing at the alien's incompetence. Angered, the alien hybrid grabs Alden's pistol and suddenly shoots him in the head, killing him. The abductees open fire on the Queen, who is shielded by swarms of Grey minions. As the battle rages on, we see Alden regenerate the damage to his head, regrowing the wounded areas, but they regenerate looking more like a Grey than a human. Alden rises, the hybrid the aliens have been working towards all these years, and uses a massive wave of telekinesis to stop the battle and destroy the flawed hybrid that killed him. Alden volunteers to stay with the aliens in exchange for them ceasing all activities on Earth and the return of the abductees. The Earth scientists also manage to get a hold of one of the alien blasters with plans to reverse engineer it. Alden's destroyed hand is replaced with a 3-fingered alien appendage, and he enters a kind of stasis sleep to make the long journey to the alien homeland shorter, and then the book ends. This is an 80-page book, and a lot of that is action. Canales is a great action artist, capable of rendering cinematic, drawn-out battles. He pushes anatomies beyond the limits of strict realism, but that adds to the punchy style of the book. Canales is hired to work on your boy Zach Einsight's books, in Zach's words, because of his ability to draw faces and emotions, and that is showcased in this book. Despite nearly being a parody of the hyper-masculine alpha special agent military man, we know what Alden is thinking at all times because of his clearly conveyed facial expressions. The story is simple and easy to read. That's not a bad thing. Too few indie creators heed the advice to just make an achievable, standalone and simple story for your debut book. People are less willing to buy into a deep, galaxy-spanning epic from an unknown author. I've heard it said many times to get a quick, finished, quality book out there as soon as possible and build on that foundation. Cleverly, Michael Derrick has left Abductables open to a sequel, and the mailing list for Abductables 2 is up and running right now. The flow of the panels is intuitive and easy to follow. The dialogue is clean and direct with natural-sounding dialects and language and many genuinely funny moments, both visual gags and verbal jokes. Derrick is an entertaining writer, and if you can maintain this level of quality on Grayscale and Abductables 2, his backers, myself included, are in for a good time when those books arrive. The choice to produce a black and white or grayscale book is a deliberate one, usually made due to time and financial constraints or an aesthetic direction. I don't know for sure which applies here, but I think it's a misstep. The grey shades look good. Canales knows his light sources and is able to give weight to his figures using them, but with his sparse art, some nice flat colours could have given the book a whole lot of punch. With copious amounts of alien blood and plasma blasters, the opportunity for some eye-catching colours seems to be an oversight. With a less than professional cover, the black and white interiors give the book a slightly incomplete or even amateurish feel. Upon reading the story and looking at the actual art, you realise it's not. It's a quality book, but the casual observer could be forgiven for mistaking this title for a lower quality book. In this new market, this crowd-funded market, competing with other crowd-funded projects as well as the mainstream, professionalism and quality need to be the name of the game. Michael Derrick has a good handle on pacing a story. The flashback was halfway through and only a few pages long. He waited until we had enough questions to care about the answers before he did his big reveal. If we'd started with the flashback, Alden being prepared to be abducted on purpose, the whole flow of the story would have been derailed. The flashback is kind of dense, but it links to real-world events, locations and beliefs, makes it very relevant, and it does a good job answering a lot of the questions we have up until that point, grounding us in the world as the author has constructed it, and left us wanting to know what happens next to move with the story. The overall premise is interesting, turning the abduction concept around. Is Alden, the xenomorph of the Greys, killing them mercilessly, physically overpowering them in the same way the xenomorph overpowered the crew of the Nostromo? At least Alden shows mercy as seen when he doesn't kill the dying alien. At first you feel bad for the aliens being killed, but Alden grows on you through his competence, skill and determination. Your mileage may vary, he might not appeal to everybody, but I'm the kind of guy who was cheering for the humans in Avatar. Because the humour is sprinkled throughout the book, some of the heavier scenes are less impactful. The implications of being probed, the abductees, and the horror they must have faced is juxtaposed with some sore ass jokes. It's so hard to balance constant humour with pathos. Even the most serious story has room for a quip or two, but the inclusion of too much of one for me precludes the other. I can't laugh at regular people being probed when the rest of the ordeal is presented as horrific. I can't see the horror of being experimented upon if the abductees are all complaining about being probed, like a frat boy. The disfigured alien was genuinely unsettling, and a great foil for Alden. He effortlessly defeats almost every alien he encounters, so to see him meet his match in so unassuming a package, and then to realise the humans themselves created this unique and broken creature was a nice touch. The ending of the book opens it up to more stories, and with the announcement of Abductables 2, it's clearly a franchise of its own. It'll be interesting to see if this book crosses over with Grayscale. I'll back Abductables 2, I've already signed up. This is an entertaining book with great art. Grayscale itself looks excellent, and as Canales' art gets better and better with each project he works on, Abductables 2 promises to be a superior offering even to this one.